So I've just got this 2012 Ford Transit van. It's a cargo van. Um, I'm starting with the spark plug or the ignition coils because it is giving a ignition coil. I think it's primary circuit code. So I just got finished pulling these out, and I can see now I'm going to probably need if I can get some light down in there. I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to probably need to get some gaskets for this valve cover because there's a lot of oil all over this. So unfortunately, I've been trying to get all of this oil out of these cylinders, or not the cylinders, but the spark plug wells. But more than likely what's happening is the gasket that goes along this valve cover is leaking, and it's leaking oil down in here, and it's pretty bad. I've got most of it out now, but I don't know if you can see it at all. Oh yeah, there's one right there. So anyway, it's probably going to get worse, but I'll have to put a new gasket on it before I can expect it to, not leak down in there. But now that I've got the majority of the oil out, now I can put these back in, and they're really easy. You just take the bolt out, slide them out. This is basically a Ford Focus engine on this car, on this little van. So yeah, it's pretty easy. I just put these down in here. And then plug the circuit from the ECM back up. And go right back to checking. Most of the vehicles that I buy, they're usually $3,000, dollar vehicles, and most of the time people don't take care of them and they just drive them into the ground. So this is the kind of stuff you kind of have to do, is replace stuff like this: spark plugs, coils, ignition components, because a lot of times these vehicles, they won't pass emissions. If you have emissions in your area, they won't pass emissions with this with any type of codes on the computer with the check engine light on. So it's like, you got to fix all this stuff before you can actually pass an emissions. Let's see, I've got my bolts that hold this down. But yeah, once I start it up and drive it, I will see if the code comes back. I don't know which one of these coils it was. I didn't really care because I was going to go ahead and just replace them all at once anyway. They're not very expensive. But once I put it, what was happening is the code is like very intermittent, and you can feel the engine misfiring, but sometimes it wouldn't. So hopefully there's no damage to the catalytic converter. We'll see. But yep, that's pretty much it. I'm just going to go ahead and tighten these bolts down, and I'm going to reset the computer and see if the code comes back. Hopefully it doesn't, and then I can work on other things. I want to show you something real quick. So I just replaced all the ignition coils, and I took it for a slight test drive. The code came back after I cleared the codes, and I want you to see something, because it was cylinder 2, which is this one. Now notice how it's running right now. The code, it came back, and it keeps coming and keeps going, keeps coming and keeps going. So you notice if I push this here, the engine starts kind of jumping around a little bit. And if I put it back, it starts to run good again. So that tells me there's something in the wiring here that's causing the problem. So I've taken it apart. I I don't see anything obvious here. Only thing I can think is that it's in this connector or this insulation. There's probably a bad connection in here on this cylinder. So the only thing I can really do is put in some dielectric grease. But if that does not work, then the only thing left I can do is go ahead and get a new one of these and splice in a new one is what I'm probably going to do, because this connector here, I'll have to cut it off and put a new one on. But that's kind of interesting how if you push this, the engine starts to skip a little bit and then it stops skipping. So my only guess is it's probably in that harness. So we'll see what happens. So yeah, if you look here, it's doing it pretty badly now when I do that. So I've went and purchased the new connector. Comes in the box here. It's the new connector. So basically I'm gonna pull off this old connector. I gotta take it out of this harness and then put it in the new connector. So I'll just basically splice it in, try to clean it up as best I can, and go from there basically. So I've got my weatherproof or weather resistant connectors. I'm gonna slice it in, and then from there we'll try to see what happens. Make sure it's in all the way, and that's it. Then from here, just double check your fittings, make sure it's the right ones. And then we'll apply heat to the connectors to make them waterproof. Alright, so now I'm just basically putting on some conduit to it, and once the conduit is in place, I'll be ready to wrap it up and put it in there and try again and see if the code come back. Hopefully it doesn't. So now the engine is running, and as you can see, when I push it around, the engine is not stuttering or anything. So I think I fixed it. So that's basically it.